Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today for us is a very exciting day. It's the day we go over to Skipton to pick up our brand new INEOS Grenadier. It's something we've waited for a number of years for, and understandably we're very excited about it. Now it's interesting that the video that we did earlier in the year of why we're willing to wait, that's approaching 100,000 views this week, so I thought there's clearly a lot of interest in this new product, and I thought it'd be a great idea to do a first impression of it as we collect it from the dealership. It'll be the first time we've visited there, and maybe stop off for coffee and see what the public's reaction to this very new vehicle is. Well, after picking the car up, we're just leaving Skipton, where we've had a cup of coffee. And here's a warning to all prospective Grenadier owners, certainly the early Grenadier owners. If you're going to go for a coffee in a town or village, allow yourself an extra half an hour to 45 minutes so you can have conversations with everyone who will mob you asking you, what is that car? The reactions in Skipton have been pretty amazing, actually. Is that the new Land Rover? Is it the new Defender? What is it? And so I've ended up telling the story a few times before getting something to drink. I think my very first impression on picking it up is just how chunky and solid it feels. Also how spacious, how wide it is inside. Now you might think it's a little bit unusual for someone who's been involved in cars all his working life to get excited about having something new, to having a new car, because I've had hundreds of new cars over the years, demonstrators, and with the different franchises I've been part of. But I've waited quite a long time for this, and because of my history with Land Rover, because of how much I loved the old Defender range, this is particularly special, particularly important to me, because I really believe that this is what the new Defender should have been. One of the first things that I wanted to do when I got back to the business was to put the Grenadier alongside a new Defender which we have, because the overriding impression I'd had driving across from Skipton was just how big it felt compared to the new Defender. Having studied the specifications and dimensions before I bought the car, I found that a bit difficult to get my head around. For example, the length of a Grenadier is 4.895 metres. That compares with 5.018 metres on the Land Rover, and the width is 2.146 compared to 2.105. So from the stats there isn't much difference, but in the flesh, because the Grenadier is much more slab-sided like the old Defender, it means that the top of the roof is much wider on the Grenadier, and that makes it feel very roomy inside. I did a quick measurement inside, and the width from door trim to door trim at the front is almost exactly the same on the two cars. Now what I'm not going to do here is to give negative criticism of the Land Rover Defender. I'm an ex-Land Rover guy, and the Defender is a superb vehicle. With the benefit though of so much four-wheel drive experience, I can say the Grenadier is just astoundingly different. It certainly is and feels quite a bit heavier with its solid chassis. I think the figures are about 350 kilos depending upon the model of Defender you choose. But it feels really solid, really strong, very chunky, and it's got the feel that it's going to be very durable. I think the best way to describe this to someone, and I do have of course a lot of experience of Land Rover, is it feels like a logical successor to the kind of vehicle I was driving in the 80s and 90s, which would have been a 110 Land Rover Defender. The new Defender kind of feels more like a logical successor to the Discovery 4. Now obviously that's subjective, that's just my personal opinion, and these two vehicles are very different in character. I don't actually think a side-by-side comparison is really very useful in real-world use. For us, it's going to be a tow car. It's heavy, it's strong, and I think it's going to do the job. I love it. So far, I have to say I'm delighted. So my very brief experience of this new car is, I have to say, a delight. I'm not going to say whether I think one of these vehicles, Defender or Grenadier, is in any way better than the other. They're so different in character, they're different in the way they look and ride, and for my money, For our use as a heavy-duty tow vehicle, this purposeful vehicle, I think, will suit us very well.